And another happy good hello morning to you. I got another cup of coffee there. Sorry for the abrupt departure, but my son was knocking on my bedroom door, and I thought it better that if I answered it and not just let him think I was in here talking to myself. Oh, excuse me, but that's good morning coffee there. Alrighty, so we talked about prayer. And we talked about the holiday, how whatever you want to do is cool, just get it on and do what you want. Now, what we were starting to talk about is different faiths and religions and what you believe in. Don't confuse religion and faith or belief with science. Science is provable. I love these people. I do actually enjoy people who say, but that's just a theory when they're talking scientific theory. It isn't a fact, it's just a theory. Well, science doesn't really do facts, except they do provable models, okay? And they can predict what's going to happen because the provable models work, okay? A scientific theory is actually the highest classification. It is close as you can get to a fact. The theory of gravity, the theory of relativity. These don't mean that maybe gravity is and maybe gravity isn't. Okay, you're confusing populist grammar theory with scientific theory. It's two different things, just like a scientific measurement is different than some other type of measurement. A theory is something that's been peer reviewed and and journaled, and you're not getting in my lap. You slept on me after last night. You're not sleeping on me right now. Cat thinks I'm nothing but a big pillow. So anyway, here's the thing. Don't push it off as science. You know, if you want to believe in little dragons that come to you, run around your house and play with your cats and that, and there's only the one that I know of that comes here. I'm sure there's a lot more, but don't push it off as facts. I can't peer review that. I can't even show him to you unless he wants you to see him, and then you could. But there's no way to set up a scientific experiment and say, here, dragon, see, there's the dragon. You can film him. You can get him to eat something. You know, I can do that with the cats. I can show you my cat. Here is my cat. Thing, you know. Um, Science is something that should be treasured and used. And it's got us where we are today. And I enjoy it. I think it's grand. I think it's wonderful. Okay? I don't believe in these people who say, put on your God glasses first and base everything on the Bible, whether it's right or wrong. No, there is a right and there is a wrong. 2 plus 2 don't equal 5, no matter what kind of glasses you're wearing, even mine. Found out why the camera was going in and out. On this camera I installed that Ronnie bought me the other day, it's got an autofocus button. And I move around a bit, so that thing kept focusing in and out, in and out, in and out. Driving me crazy. I don't know about you. And I don't have too far to go on that trip. So, anyway, the other thing is don't put it in the schools. You want to teach dragons and you want to teach magic and energy bands and yoga, I don't care what it is. You want to teach it as a religion, then do so in the house, do it in Sunday school, do it at your house of worship or your house of meeting, whatever you call it. I don't care whether you're a Scientologist or a Mormon or a Seventh-day Adventist or who you are. Keep it out of school. Okay, the public schools are for kids of all faiths. It's for kids of all religions. It's for kids of what's the word I want to use? Different backgrounds, different levels. Now, it doesn't mean that they're teaching something you don't believe in school. At home, you can say, son, I know they're telling you this, and you have to respect the teacher, and you have, you should probably, but my personal belief is that there was a worldwide flood, and the mountains were all covered, and there was all these animals on the ark, and it went around the world, and when they got off after 8 months or 9 months, and everything was drowned and dead, they all still lived happily ever after. And as the bears said, watching the little rabbits, what are we supposed to eat? But um, if you have a faith and a belief in that, that's fine. There is no evidence scientifically anywhere for that. There's evidence of small floods, local floods, and, floods to a certain level, but not every mountaintop was covered, and not everything was dead and dying. Okay? So people who take the Bible literally is what I'm saying. You're not being denied just because somebody's teaching science and geography and geology and paleontology and that in school. You're not being denied because somebody's teaching that dinosaur fossils are real. You can still at home teach your child anything you want, but don't deny the learning experience for everybody. Don't deny it for that child, because that child has to go on to a university and something. Unless you're going to send them to a university of your church, which there are some, which they have to twist things incredible just to make it work. That child is going to have to learn what the rest of the community believes in science, for biology, for medicine, for engineering. The building didn't stand just because God willed it. It stood because somebody figured out the stress points and the load-bearing needs and the structure. Okay, so enough of that. Let's move to something else. One last subject to discuss here today, and that is Islamic phobia. This morning, I posted a thing where did I post that one? I think I did, where they did a survey of a bunch of Republicans and a bunch of Democrats and asked them if they wanted to bomb the mythical city of Aladdin, but they used the real name, Agrabah. Now, I really didn't know where Agrabah was, but I wasn't about to bomb it because I don't know anything about it, and I don't know if, what the situation is. So you've got to find these things out before you say, oh yeah, let's just level the place. How would you like it if somebody said, well, we don't know anything about Cleveland or Baltimore, but let's just level it, and we'll worry about what's, the rest of it later. So the funny thing was, this was fictional, and when I said to Ron, now, they did a survey about Agrabah, and he went, oh, that's that TV, that cartoon with Aladdin and the genie and the flying carpet. And I went, how do you know these things? But a huge portion, 31% or something, I forget, of the Republicans wanted to bomb, just bomb it. They didn't know where it was or anything, but they wanted to bomb it. Okay. Now, there was a lot less Democrats, but sad to say, there was some Democrats that said the same thing. Let's just bomb it. Yeah, it's got an Arab-sounding name. It's got to be bad, right? Look, this morning, and this is not a subject for a lot of laughter and that, so you're not going to get many jokes out of me, because this is something that I really don't believe in. I fought for the rights of this country in 2 different branches of the service. And I'm not saying that because I think I'm some kind of hero. I'm just saying that the reason that we did it was to give people the freedoms and the rights. The right to have a religion or not. The right to say, I don't believe in your religion and I'm not going to follow it. The right to say we have a secular government, not a sacred one. We have a government without religion, separate church and state. And we fought for that. We fought for your right to protest. We fought for your right to have your individual thing on your lawn. You want to have a Christmas scene with lights and everything else. Unless you're just destroying the neighborhood with people can't sleep at 3 in the morning because your house looks like a landing field of a military prison or something. But if you want a nativity scene on your yard, nobody's going to stop you. By the same token, they're trying to stop a guy from having a zombie nativity scene on his yard. Why? Well, because it's just not good for the religion. It's blasphemous or whatever. We don't have blasphemy laws here. Okay? Now you ask, why did I delve into the religious part of this? Because it goes back to what I'm going to say next. And that is, I heard this morning that some groups are calling, and presidential candidates are calling, for a registration, a national registration of Muslims, people who follow the Islamic faith. Now let's just turn that around. There have been Christians who have done some very horrible things. Should we have a registry of Christians? How would that sound? What would be the uproar? Pat Robinson would have a heart attack right on his 700 Club set. Poor man. You know, I mean, that Harvey woman, she'd be tearing her hair out. Poor thing, have to wear a wig. And I had something I was going to say there, but I caught myself before I realized when I realized how really dumb it was going to sound. Alrighty, so the thing is, what if we said we're going to have a Jewish registry? Everybody of Jewish descent got to be registered, followed, watched, monitored. Sound like anything familiar from history? Don't do those kind of things. Don't say those kind of things. Think about them when you have that thought come in your head. Say, whoa, what if I change those words around? Instead of gay marriage, how about it was multi-marriage? Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, I can see now how that is. You know, try not to infringe upon the rights of others, to have your own rights. That's really quite simple. The right for you to swing your fist, your hand, the right for you to swing your hand ends where my face starts. It's that simple. You know? The right for me to plant or put up a display ends at the end of my yard. I can't put it on my neighbor's yard. That violates his rights. Now, I've got a cuckoo neighbor who happens to not understand property rights, but that's okay. That wasn't the real point. Now, so this whole Islamic phobia thing, this people who scream at people, go back to your country. There are a lot of native-born Muslims, people. Just like there's a lot of native-born Christians. I don't know where they're coming from, but I've seen a few of them. It's like Bigfoot, you know, I mean. Oh, don't get me started. No, in all honesty, this was a serious topic, and I wanted to take it seriously because I'm seeing it so much. Even here, I go to people's homes to fix their computers, and some of these old ladies are sure that anybody who's dark-skinned is a terrorist, or they're an illegal alien. Okay, those guys that cut the lawn, has the park checked them out? They're illegals. No, they're not illegals. Most of them, I bet, have been in the country for 3 or 4 generations. You know, they just happen to be people who will do a job that most of us wouldn't do if we didn't have any other choice. So, just think on what that means for a moment, to be so bigoted that you're yelling at somebody to go back to your own country. I'm already here, dude. Sorry. You know? I mean, what if the Native Americans, the Native Indians, when the white man came over, what if the Indians had said, oh, we need a wall. These people won't integrate, they won't learn our language, they won't learn our customs. They're taking our stuff. You know? In a way, I wish the Indians had. I wish they had, really, because they think they would have been an incredible 20th century people. I really do. I mean, I think they're incredible now, don't get me wrong, but I mean, that culture, had it been allowed to grow and expand and that, I think it would have been just fantastic. But I digress. So back to homophobia, or Islamic phobia. Excuse me, I've been saying homophobia for so many years now that it just kind of shrunk right out there. Let me reel it back in. Okay? Back to Islamic phobia. I almost did it again. Islamic phobia. If you have a hatred for another group of people, ask yourself why. What is your fear? You're standing in the grocery line and 3 or 4 people are speaking a language you can't understand. Is it French? Is it Spanish? You don't know. We have a lot of French-speaking people here during the winter. I can't understand a word of them. Does that make them bad? Well, some of the old people that I know, they don't like it. If you're in this country, you speak our language. Well, let me tell you a little story. I was in Germany for almost 4 years. Loved it. Great place. Oh, I'd love to go back. Someday, maybe I will. But even though I had German friends and I tried really, really hard, I couldn't speak German to save my life. I could understand a little bit, and I knew a couple of phrases like "Wo ist das Bahnhof?" And I could swear okay, you know. I could even ask for a newspaper. Zeitung bitte. 2 words. One was newspaper and the other was please. Now, should I have left the country? I'll tell you what would happen. Me and some friends would go into a German store. My friends would walk up and say, I would like this and I'd like some of that. And Germans would just look at them. And Joe Lindsay, you know, across from them, on another part of the store, I'd be trying to, Entschuldigen Sie bitte, and I'd try my best to wade through the language. And I know I was slaughtering it, just killing that thing like it was a calf in a veal factory, you know, just wham. And they would say, "It's all right, sir. It's all right. We speak English. We're totally fine with that, you know." Well, why would they speak it with me and not with my friends? Well, I'll tell you why. Because some of my friends were jerks. We were young. We were all young. But they weren't even going to try. We're Americans. Now, the only time in Germany I ever used that I'm an American was I was driving my senior officer, and a lot of times they would use me to drive them places because I just let it go, you know. So I was driving our senior officer, and he told me where to go. I had no clues where I was going, and he told me to turn down this street, and it was a one-way street. And I saw the sign, and I said, "Sir, but soldier, we need to go down there." Okay. And all the way down, as oncoming cars were honking the horns and that, I was going, I'm an American. I can do this. I'm an American. I can do this. And I was not saying it seriously. I was saying it because I didn't want to poo my pants. You know, I didn't want to, it was a joke. It was like, I'm so dang dumb, I'm driving the wrong way on a one-way street, and I'm saying, I can do this, you know. But that was the attitude a lot of Americans had, and that's why the Germans didn't like them. Quite straight up, honest, simple, you know. But I couldn't learn the language. That was the whole point of this. I couldn't learn the language no matter what I did. And there's going to be people who come here who can't learn the language. There's going to be people who are only here for 2 or 3 weeks or maybe a month or 6 months or whatever. They're not going to have time to learn the language. And people who are bilingual are smart people. Think about it. If you can't speak your own language properly, as I apparently can't speak mine, then tell me something. If you can't speak 2 languages, why are you looking down at somebody who can? Think about it. They can do it, and you can't. But the people here get all, look at them talking that language. I was driving with a lady one day, taking her someplace, I think to a doctor's appointment, years ago. This was after the 9/11 thing. And we were on the other coast. And this lady saw a dark-skinned, bearded man coming towards us and instantly started screaming, "There's a terrorist! There's a terrorist! There's a terrorist!" And I was freaking out. I was like, where? That guy. No, he's not a terrorist. He's our mailman. Sorry, you know. He's dark skinned, but he's not terrorist. He's not even Arab, for God's sakes. You know. Um, I have a beard. Am I a terrorist? Am I a bad person? Am I grubby? I mean, I got a beard. Santa had a beard. Everybody loved him. Okay. See pictures of the mythical Jesus, and he's got a beard, big white one, and white hair, and he's all nice tan white skin, which always makes me wonder. But anyway, um, so don't be judgmental. Don't tell people to go back to their own country, because one of the rules, one of the things that we value here in this country is the right to disagree with each other. You can disagree with me. And trust me, a lot of people do. Okay, this is going on for 20 minutes. I've got to close it down. I've got to switch it over. And I've got to get some things started today. I've got to make the bed. I haven't done that yet. I got to do laundry. I'm going to do some candles behind me. Might go out with Ron later because he had a lot of shopping to do, and I just can't. Yesterday we went out for a walk, just around our little section of the park. And by the time we got home, I couldn't walk. I was dragging my leg, and the rest of the night I was in agony. I told you I'd do a number on language. Have a dang good day. Be happy. Just, you know what? I was talking to 6'4", I left this comment on his blog. A long time ago, a man told me two things. He says, one, expect nothing, and everything you get will be a reward. But if you expect everything, nothing will live up to what you expect. You'll always be disappointed. The other thing he told me was, always want what you have. Don't have what you want. It's better, I guess I rephrased that. It's better to want what you have than have what you want. In other words, try to be happy, because things change. My grandfather once told me, never fall in love with something somebody else can own. I bought a new car. Oh, I was so proud of myself. My first car, brand new. Didn't even have an FM radio in it. Had a 4-speed, no power windows, no power locks, no nothing. Oh, I thought that car was the best thing in the world. And my grandfather understood. He made the appropriate ohs and oohs and ahs, and finally he said, Scotty, don't fall in love with anything anybody else can ever own. Someday somebody else will own that car. It won't be yours. Enjoy it. Take care of it. But don't fall in love with it. Don't fall in love with your home. Enjoy it. Make it grand. Be at peace. Be happy. But don't fall in love with it. Now, on the other hand, I don't know where to go with that. That's just, to me, that was a wise thing. Don't fall in love with something anybody else can own. Anyway, have a good one. I'm going to try to do another video later. You're probably tired of seeing me by now. Hugs and loves.